my life is all miracles. I remember still, once I was in a place where they talked about the Holocaust. One person stood up and he said, I was saved by chance. And I said to him, afterwards I stood up and I said, you know, you win the lottery once, it's a chance. You win twice, can also be a chance. How about winning the lottery 6 or 7 times in a row? Will it be a chance? You have to know that Hashkocha Protis, that there is a heaven, and there is God which is in the heaven, and He directs our lives. And this is what I had before me, that everything which happened to me was just because Hashem wanted me to live. And nothing could have happened. The others, I don't know why the others perished, but there's no answer for that. And I don't have the answer. If someone wants to talk to me later, and I tell him a story of the Talmud, which talks about these things. Yirmiyahu Novi said, Ani HaGever, I am the person in Eichel, which we read it in Tisha B'Av, Raw Oni, which he saw all the pain, Be'eshevet Evrosoi, when it was he was in the time of the destruction of the first temple, in the exile of Jews to Babylonia. When I talk to you now, I'm not talking to you as Israel Cohen. I'm talking to you as a messenger from thousands of people which suffered like me. We talk always about 6 million Jews, but we never talk about the suffering which the Jews had, which the Jews passed, which I passed and thousands of people passed. That means that every day when we passed, we never know when we went out to work if we come back alive. Why was that like a hazard? Now, there's also, we know about the 6 million Jews. We know that they died, they were gassed, they were shot, they were killed. What about the suffering before they died, before they were killed? They had to pass the same thing what I did, and they unfortunately didn't survive. There's a story in the Talmud, it's a fable like that a king once sent out a messenger to buy him fish. So the servant brought in fish, but they smelled very badly. So the king told him, you can choose one of the 3 punishments which you want. Either you get 100 flogs, eat the fish, or you'll be exiled out from the land. And he said, okay, I'll eat the fish. He started to eat the fish, come to half it, he couldn't do it anymore. He started to vomit, he started to get sick. He said, okay, give me the 100 flags. I flogged me 100 times. He got about to 50, and I couldn't do it anymore. So, okay, you can be exiled. So it says that he has all the 3 punishments at once. He ate foul fish, stinking fish, he got the flogs, and he was exiled. The same is happened also to these people who suffered all the time and they didn't survive. It says, in Eichel, it says that the it's better for the person it was better for the person who died by the sword than those people who died by hunger. The same as in us. Someone was gassed. Okay, he didn't suffer much on the gas, he shot. But to suffer for so many years, and from hunger, from pain, from sicknesses, from epidemics, and this was the worst thing of all. The Gemara tells us that there was once in the Tanakh, it says that the king Nebuchadnezzar of Babylonia, he made once a statue, and he wanted everyone to bow down to the statue. So So everyone, even including the Jews, bowed down to the statue, except 3 people. They were Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. And because they didn't bow down to the statue, they were sentenced to death by fire, and they put them into a fire furnace. Says that Hashem saved them from the fire. The Gemara tells us, the Talmud tells us, they were brave, that they faced death, and so they could withhold against bowing down to the statue. If they would have put them in torture, they might have bowed down to the statue. It was much worse. We started up in the Ghetto and Lodge. The Ghetto and Lodge was in Poland, and they surrounded all the Jews, put them in a small quarter. 1 room was for a whole family. It was in the poorest quarters of Lodz, and this was in the 1st of February, 1st of May, on 1940. The ghetto was sealed. Put it around the wires. It is barbed wires. On every 50 meters there was a guard with a machine gun, and we were closed in. We didn't get to eat anything. So there was the Germans. They have also some kind of Germans which they have protection. They have knew the people in the high places. So they tried everything to get away from not to be sent to the Russian front, which they were scared like that to be by the Russians. So there was an industrial that was called Bibov, and he started up that if we are going to work and make things for the German army, then we get some food. We have to work 7 days a week. And very, very, very many times that we didn't have anything to eat. Well, there was once a winter, 1942, which was one of the worst winters, and everything froze. I remember still, when I went to bed, I put in like a pail there with some water to wash my hands in the morning. In the morning, there was ice on top of it, because there was nothing to heat. All the furniture which was in the house was put on to fire to make it warmer. And the frost was so great, much greater than it is here in Toronto. Food was, sometimes we got some potatoes, kohlrabis, bread which was not really bread, and so the people of Lodz became emaciated. You see, they were already like skeletons, but they had to work very hard. When we came to Auschwitz, they were people from Hungary, which were deported before. We came to Auschwitz in 1944. But the people of Hungary, they deported before that, a few months before. When we came to Auschwitz, the food was good. We never had it in the ghetto some food like that. We get a soup, which was a soup. We didn't have it at home. In the time when the Hungarians, they were, until a few months ago, they have everything what they needed. For them they stink. It stinks. The soup stinks. How can you eat it? It depends how you feel. Sometimes in the camps, when I had a piece of bread which was full of mold, and an extra piece of bread, and then I said, "Oh, it looks like cake," because it tastes like cake. If you are hungry, everything will be good. Now, in Lodz wasn't finished the whole thing. In 1942, they have all this deportation. The Germans were always, the Jews thought that they are smart, but the Germans outsmarted them. and they made everything look like it's normal. They said they need 50,000 Jews to go to another camp to work, especially in Germany. Some people believed them, and some people didn't. So they had to catch on, to go on the streets to catch on. They went into places to have at homes, and took on the whole family and sent them away. I remember still we got, in our family, we also got letters to come and to front of the deportation office. We never went back there. We were hiding, a few nights we were hiding in other places, and we didn't want to go. My mother said, "We were not going, we're staying here." Later on came out that all these 50 people, they were sent to Chelmno, which was a small town near Lodz, and there they put them in a forest, they put them in trucks, big trucks, and sealed them. The trucks were sealed. They put in the exhaust into the trucks, and the trucks, the motor was working, and so they killed these 50,000 people. Many were shot in the forest and so on. So we stayed in the ghetto. I had to work. I had something like I worked in a tailor factory. I was doing the buttonholes, and I know how I had a hands for mechanic, and I learned the mechanic of the buttonholes, and I became like the head of this department of buttonholes. Every time they tried to make us work harder and harder. I tried my best not to make it so hard, because I know that they could do much more production than they did. They asked me how many buttonholes can a person do? We have 2 shifts, from 7 to 1 and from 1 to 7. And I said 600. People came in from other places, from small towns, and they wanted to make the money. They paid 2 pennies for a buttonhole, so they made 3,000. I was quarreling with them, and I said, "You make it worse for the whole, for everyone in this district, because you showed that the commissar, then everyone will have to make 3,000." Didn't help much. Everyone goes for himself. That's the most thing. I told them a few times. I closed up. They went in through the window. And they threatened me, if I don't let them do it, then they will tell the commissar there, which was there, that I don't let them work. I said 600, and I see somebody came to me and he said he wants to go home. I said, "Did you finish your work? Did you make the 600 buttonholes?" He said, showed me his feet. They were all swollen like a pole, a telephone pole. I said, "Go home." And I could sit down instead of working, doing the 400 buttonholes, which took him about 4 hours. It took me half an hour. I was very fast. Finally, at last, the Russians were nearer, and we thought maybe we were going to be liberated by the Russians. We could hear the cannons at night. We could hear the artillery. And then they came. They said that we have to liquidate the ghetto. And again with their lies, you should be careful. You work so hard for the Germans, and we want to pay you back, and you don't want to fall into the Russian hands, because they will say that you worked with the Germans. So we put you up. Everybody will go on the same with the family, and they're going to another place in Germany. They put in the wagons, but we still didn't believe them. We still didn't believe them, and we were hiding. For about 2 weeks, we were hiding every time in another place. once we were hiding on the graveyard, in a grave, and once we were hiding in a factory, a broken factory, once we were hiding in a field. But finally we went up in a place where we lived, and the Germans came in suddenly. I remember still, I jumped into a hut there. It was full of old mattresses. I hid behind below the mattresses, and the Germans came in and they stepped on me, and they go around till they couldn't find me. You can imagine my heart. One was for hiding. He didn't listen. They were shot right away. Many other things which you have. I can't tell you all the things now. Finally, they caught us. They came suddenly. We went up on the ceiling, up on the fourth floor, in the apartment building, and someone betrayed us. And the Germans came up, and everyone had to go down. You know, they think they didn't shoot us. I don't know why. But shoot us. I remember, and everyone got a hit over the head while we climbed down the ladder. I got one hit on the head, which lasted for about 4 weeks. But I jumped down the ladder. I didn't want to go in the ladder get another one. And then we were sent for the wagons. You could see this picture here on the video. You could see the pictures. Some wagons and some people were standing like that. It wasn't like that, like it is. It was action. Instead of going out to Germany, we were sent to Auschwitz. In the morning, suddenly we saw that some places surrounded with guard towers, and barbed wires, and again barbed wires, and again barbed wires. And we couldn't recognize the people. When we came to Auschwitz, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. They told us, all the things which you had, you leave in the wagons. You go out like you are. We had 2 weeks before I didn't eat anything. But before going into the train, they gave us a bread, just to fool us that we're going to Germany. On the train we stayed all night. There was no place. It was so packed in the cattle trains. And I wanted to eat all the piece of bread. So the man told me, you know, we might go on the train for 2 weeks. You will starve if you eat up your bread now. When I come to Auschwitz, they took up my bread and they threw it away. And I was always sorry why I didn't eat the bread. I had it in my hand. Only thing which I grabbed was my tefillin. Then I took my tefillin, and then I got out, and a couple hit me from behind. And he grabbed my tefillin, threw it away like a baseball. And there was mayhem when we came to Auschwitz. Couples were screaming, the Germans, the SS were screaming, hitting with the sticks, and so on. It was not like you see here, people standing straight. We were pushing from one side to the other. I remember still my mother, they separated the men and the women. My mother hugged me, and she gave me a blessing that I shall survive, and God shall give me grace that I should survive. And maybe it was of His blessing, but I survived. And then they hit us, the foot. I remember still seeing Mengele, this the doctor which said, right, left means, I didn't know what right and left means. I was pushed, and I went there, they pushed me. I didn't even know what right and left is, and what it means. Finally, I was on the right side, and I remember still, when my sister, they went and it was a separation, and they dragged the woman away in another place, and she screamed out to me. They took my mother on the left side, our mother on the left side. I didn't know what it means. In Auschwitz there were 2 camps, Auschwitz and Birkenau. They were adjoined to each other. In Auschwitz was a working camp. People have to work in the factories, Before working in the factories, everyone has to give a number. So that they recognize them, they will know, they wouldn't run away. I was sent to, with a whole group, thousands of people to Birkenau. Birkenau was not a working camp. In Birkenau were the gas chambers and the crematoriums. So, the big chimneys, you could see big chimneys, and the fire smoke coming out. And I asked one of the couples, and I asked him, what are these chimneys? So one said it's a bread bakery. I asked somebody, I didn't believe it, it's a bread bakery. So I asked somebody else, and he answered me this way, here you go in through the door, you come out through the chimney. He said, I burnt my father, my mother, my sisters in heaven, and you were going to have the same thing. I wrote in my book many stories. The book wasn't written as a book. You see, I wrote stories in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s. And I would write every time a story about something else. I could write the first thing last and the last thing first, and so on. It's only later when my children told me to make it a book. I had to put it in chronological order. And I wrote it in Yiddish. Yiddish was my mother language. It's my language which we talk at home. But I had it translated in English because I wanted to I sent it to a friend of mine. He's a great writer, and I asked him about if it's worth publishing. He said if you publish it, he was called Herman Wook. If you publish it, then I will write you an introduction, and I sent it to Art School. I didn't want to have to sell books. It's not my business to sell books. I gave him all my rights. So I could have told you to read a story in the book, but I don't want to tell the stories. Now, if you have the book and you see the first day of Auschwitz, it was, I couldn't imagine. I don't think that I believe it or you believe it. I once had a story from, we always made Pesach Sheni, my friends which were liberated on the 27th of April, we came together in New York, and we came together to thank God for the miracles that we survived. And then we called in Rabbi Klein. He was a teacher of Elie Wiesel. He was in Auschwitz together with him. They were probably from the same town. And he told a story. Always he talked. He was one of the speakers. And he said, I make it short because it's not true, but it shows the story that Napoleon his army, they invaded Russia. But then it came the winter and they were stuck, and the Russians overtook them. So Napoleon ran away. He saw a house in a village, and he went into the house. There was a Jew there, and he said, please save my life. I am Napoleon, and the Russians are after me. But the Jew said, how can I hide you? Because they are going to kill me too. You have to hide. The emperor spends anything that you want. So the Jew said like that, lie down in bed. I will lie down on top of you. So when the Russians come in, they will see me, they wouldn't see you. So the Russians came in, the soldiers, they broke everything, they looked, they couldn't find him. And so he was waiting another week or two, and then he went back. He said, I give you a card. Anytime when you come to Paris and you want something, I can give you everything what you want. How much money you want. So once the Jew said, when am I going to Paris? But it happens, make it short, happens that he went once to Paris, and he remembered that to go in, he went into the Parliament building, to the place where the emperor sat, and he told the guard, I want to see Napoleon. What? You want to see Napoleon? He said, here's the card. Show him the card and see what he says. He saw the card, and he came out, and he hugged the Jew, brought him into this, there was a conference room with all these ministers, and he introduced him, this is the man who saved my life, and everything what you want, I can give you. The Jew said, I don't need anything. I don't want anything, I don't need anything. But I one thing which bothers me. What do you think in the time when I was lying on you and the Russians were around there and breaking in breaking the cupboards and looking for you? What was in your mind? Were you scared? And this, Napoleon became very angry. And he started to say, you dare to ask such a question, you'll be hanged. Go and take the guards, take him, in 2 hours I will come and hang him myself. Although everyone was surprised, nobody asked him why he thought to be hanged. Anyway, let's make it short. The Jew was standing on the place, there was this rope hanging, and Napoleon came out, put the rope on his neck, and he said to him, now you can feel what I felt then when I was on you, because otherwise you wouldn't understand. The same is like anyone who wasn't there couldn't understand what we suffered. What kept us as Jews? What kept us in the emunah, in the trust of God? I say always, my whole book goes shkoche prutis. It's not all kind of details. There's chapters, different chapters. Every chapter ends with something which is encouraging, which is that help can still come. Whenever a person is, he can come help. We always hoped. We never gave up hope. Anyone who gave up hope, he was lost. We felt that what we do is resistance to the Germans. When I was in Auschwitz, I heard that some Hungarians have tefillin. I went up there, and the guy was looking around, and I said, let me put on the tefillin. He gave me a one pair of tefillin. I put it on and take it off right away, and I ran away back to my place. We try to daven what we can by heart. Sometimes we try to make a minyan, even, if we could. This wasn't in Auschwitz, but in Auschwitz I was only about 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, because they kept us for the crematoriums. But there was a group of German industrialists which they wanted. They were building in Germany. They were building bunkers for the factories for munition, and they needed 3,000 workers. And then we had to go around, and the SS looked us up, another selection, and I was chosen among the 3,000, and they sent us to Dachau, which was Kaffering, which is a satellite of Dachau. Around Dachau there were about 15 camps, 20 camps, all satellites. Each one has a different workplace. I remember still after going in a train, our lives wasn't worth much. People didn't care about their lives anymore. I remember still, it was in September, and the sun was heating up the wagons, and it was so hot. And they put in one pail of coffee, and everyone started to fight about the coffee, and the coffee spilled, so nobody had anything. Next we came to Czechoslovakia, and they had us stop there. The SS had to go down to eat or whatever it is. And so we were screaming, water, water. And the SS said, we're going to shoot you if you don't screaming. But we said, shoot. It's better to shoot, to be shot, than to die by starvation, by thirst. So they took our 2 people, and they brought us 2 pails of water, and we went on again. I remember still when we came to Kaffering, to the place we were, we walked up about 5 hours in the night, and it was a little bit raining, and I had my mouth open. So a few drops will drop into my throat. People there give away much for the emunah. Make a short, a small story about Yom Kippur. A day we were working. I mean, we started at the beginning. It's a day. When the day started, they woke us up at 4 o'clock, and 4 o'clock they gave us some drink, hot drink. It's which they called it coffee, and then we took us out to work. And there was a big Appelplatz, which was like a baseball field, a big baseball field. In every couple had this 200 people on this work, and 500 people on this work, something 100 people. And they was, I said, all the screaming and hitting with the cups, and one couple grabbed from the other one. I always said that I thought that the Gehenna, the hell, is like burning coals and so burn people. I said this was worse than a Gehenna. It was, you couldn't imagine. It was action all the time, screaming. And the book was, I can see in the book, I have some pictures that the Germans sent me. And which were working. If they tell me today, give me 10 million $, not today, no, even 50 years ago, they give me, say, if I go do the same work, I wouldn't do it. Because it wasn't, but you don't know what you can do when somebody stays with a gun and said, do it. The same thing we did with Yiddishkeit. Remember still, one day before Yom Kippur, there was a couple, he was a Dutchman, he was a little better than the other couples. Unfortunately, there were Jewish couples which were as bad as the Germans. Sorry to do it, but there is always some people like that. And but he was a better person, and he took us to an airport to work for 100 people. 100 people. The airport was, first of all, we didn't have the SS went away, and the Luftwaffe, the Air Force, took us over. And they were not as bad, as vicious as the SS. And then we got, at the end, we got a meal, like a military meal, which we didn't have anything. So the couple said, we work here for about 2 or 3 weeks. Anyone which was here comes tomorrow in the same place. And you go into this work. The only problem was, it was Erev Yom Kippur. And I thought, we were a group of teenagers. We were all teenagers, you see. Don't look at me like it is. Look at these teenagers here. We looked like them, you know, except that we were emaciated, we were skin and bones. But somebody said, what should we do? Maybe we can try to sneak out, not work in Yom Kippur at least. So, and I had a dilemma. If I go away from work, I would lose my job there. And so I couldn't be back. I had to work in the hard work, and here is much easier. But I didn't still want to work. So I decided, with the whole group, we stayed. To sneak out from the work was danger of life all the time. You know, any couple which you thought you could do over the head with a stick in, and you started and opened up your skull. But we did it. We succeeded. We went into the blocks. It was empty. And we tried a few people to look, maybe somebody else, maybe we make a minyan for Yom Kippur. And if we gathered already about 7, 8 people, suddenly the door opened. And the SS came in. Alles raus, everyone out. They took us out, outside the camp, and told us to dig ditches. Small ditches, about 3 meters long. And we knew what it means. It means that when they wanted to shoot some Jews, they told them to dig their own graves. But we still, then I was standing with my friend in the ditch, and the SS was going down with his machine gun. If he turns away a little bit, we started to say things of Yom Kippur. The Rosh Hashanah, you could say them, you write down, go in Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, they feel this. And so when the guards started back, we started digging. And we knew that the last time, the last minutes. Then a miracle happened. I think the industrials from the factories, they were aware, and they are going to lose about 15 young people which had work. So they sent a call to the SS, and they told us to fill up the ditches. We went back to camp. I remember still the next day, I went and tried to get into this camp. So one said to me, have you got a note? I said, what note? He gave everyone a piece of paper. Only the one who has the piece of paper can go to this work, otherwise not. And I said, I didn't say anything. And the couple went around, looked everyone in the face. I don't know, he recognized me or not. I stayed without the paper. And I worked 2 weeks there in this camp, on this job, which was half. It's not as cruel as the others. And many times you can see the Ashkocha Prutis which goes, that everyone is providence. The whole book talks about providence, that nothing was done by itself. I remember still once another story of providence, that about in January, February, there was many epidemics in the camps, in this camp. They took away all our clothing, we were naked. We just gave us a blanket. Everyone has a blanket. Now there was a ditch, and both sides were boats on straw on the boats, and the people were lying 40 on this side and 40 on the other side. And there was epidemics. Many times when I was lying at night, and I felt a hand on me. I said to the guy, take away your hand. So the guy didn't answer me. I pushed back the hand fell back. I knew that he's dead. And I slept the night like that. What could you do? In the morning I saw him, pulling them out by their feet. So thousands of people, the reason people were suffering then, and they always told everybody, anyone who survived, will he tell the word of what we suffered? Please, anyone who survived, we don't know if he survived, anyone who survived shall tell the word for the people. They should know what happened to us. And this is what is my holy mission, that I said that I'm going to tell the story of these people. Once another thing, which is not with the resistance to the Germans, when we were still working, we went by train. And the Germans were sitting in the same train, and they ordered us, Jews, sing. Who had the mind to sing when you're hungry? So, but you helped it. What did we sing? We sang a song of Shishi Omdo, which we sing on Pesach. Vishi Omdo, Lava Seine Velonu, which means that in every generation, people come up to destroy us, but Hashem saved us in their hands. They like the song, and we like the words, that we have, at least we can tell them something. Anyway, the thing is like that. You see, another thing, Ashkocha Prutis, I learned in a Gerish Stibel in Poland, it was a Hasidic Stibel. And I learned there, and I saw a book, which is called Orachayim, which is the laws. In one of the pages is there a calendar of hundreds of years. All you have to know is the Jewish calendar goes by months. You see, goes by months. 12 months, 1 month is 29, 1 month is 30. Because the time of the moon is 29 and a half a day. You can't make a moon and a half a day, so they make it 129, except 2 months, which are not even. This is Cheshvan and Kislev. You know only two letters that you know what year it is. And in 19 years it comes back. In 19 years the English state and the Hebrew, they come together, because in 19 years there are 7 leap years. And I memorized it, and I knew in the camp when it's Hanukkah, when it's Purim, when it's Pesach, and everything. I put in sometimes stories about Hanukkah, Purim. Once my son-in-law, he writes on the internet, Avi Shafran, and he put in a story before the book was printed about Hanukkah. And the Jewish World Review picked up the story, they printed it, and I got about over 20 emails from Gentiles that they were impressed with this story. Now the liberation is a different thing. The different thing is the liberation. The liberation is, you know, we were lying among the dead already, and we no hope. They were shooting the rest, they're burning all the corpses, and make it shorter because the time is, I have my watch here, don't talk without the watch. So I see it's late. So we were liberated. Then in 2 hours before the Americans came, they came in and shot the rest of the people, and we were hiding. We didn't want to be deported again, and they put on gasoline on all the corpses and burned them, except this. When I opened up all the schmattes which were on my head, I saw the block in fire, and I told to my friends, let's crawl out of here, otherwise we'll burn alive. So we went and we light alarm on the dead people, and you couldn't recognize us if we were dead or not dead. And so 2 hours later Americans came, and I said to my friends, let's say vidui. We no chance anymore. So many times we tried to escape, and so he said, no. It says in the Talmud that even a sword, a sharp sword on the sword, you still have a chance to ask Hashem. How could we stay alive? How could we stay religious in those camps? Many people ask me this way, how could you, when you suffered so much, how can you stay? And I say always, if you want to do it, you can do it. The Hashem will help you. If you want to be religious, if you want to keep the Torah, if you want to keep this, Hashem will always help you to do it. And it was many tests which we got. And we could stay this. The thing is like that everyone has to put himself a life model. Even if it's a rabbi, a grandfather, or somebody else which you know, which is respect. And for him, you do the best what you can. And if you try to do the best, Hashem will help you to do it. Because every Jew is good. The only thing is that sometimes the Yetzer Hara, after the war, was more tests than in the war. Because in the war, nobody rebelled because they could, if you rebelled, they couldn't improve anything. They made the same things like us. But after the war, suddenly the teenagers walked out. If they couldn't walk still, I wasn't so lucky. I had to go in the hospitals. And the Germans, they are open house. They didn't have any friends, any parents, nobody to watch them, and they can do whatever they want. Everything was open to them. And then you needed really the help of God to survive and to be religious. Once talked to Yom Kippur, they asked me to talk in the Esha Torah in Eglinton. They had a mini special for people who came only Yom Kippur. And so I told them like that. People in Spain, everyone comes for Chonedre, but people in Spain, they are forced to take on Christianity. And if not, they were tortured and they were killed. And people gave away their lives for it. And I said to them like that. Some people, they couldn't. They became Christians. And I said to them like that. All these people which they were assimilated, they were lost from the Jewish nation. You are the descendants of those people who kept on the emunah, kept on the faith. And they tried to give away your life for it. So you don't break the chain. And this is the message which I got. And I said to them, everyone can do it, except that you have to want it. If you want it, nothing is. I hope that maybe this year we will be liberated entirely. Mashiach will come, and we will all Jews will enjoy together.